Let's talk to Gary. Hi, Gary. You are on the
Hi, is
Atheist
me, Gary,
Experience.
Connecticut?
Oh,
Yep,
hi, Gary.
you're ready.
Hi,
You're
I got
on
it.
the line.
Hi, I gotta say it's. Thank you. There seems to be a little delay maybe, but I gotta say if you guys ever want to like release a blooper reel, I think only maybe people on the line on hold can hear the other end of the callers, but it's borderline abuse. I mean, some of these people just are fired up, but I really appreciate you guys running the show. Matt, I kind of arrived at your show by going through the YouTube rabbit hole, and I came across Matt's conversation, or I don't know if it was a conversation or debate even, with Ray Comfort. Matt, I'm sure you're aware and probably remember, and the Ray Comfort.
It's happened a few times, so I don't know which one, but
And,
go ahead and we're fine.
Well, yeah, fair enough. It seems like Ray, in all the conversations, it was a point of contention with you, and I think rightfully so. He kept making the claim that you were never a real Christian, or that you never knew the Lord or had the real Christian faith, born again experience. And I thought that was outrageous because I thought, well, if Matt, because I want to get your case straight too, man. It must be weird to have people call and like talk about your life, like what you shared previously. But from what I understand about you, Matt, you were born into a Baptist family, rather, grew up in the church and remained faithful, and then sought out to prove to a roommate or somebody that you're, that Christianity was correct, and that through that you arrived at conclusions that you hold at today. Is that, I don't want to mischaracterize you, but is that accurate so far? Do I got you down?
That's close enough to accurate. I mean, no, I don't, that was many years ago,
Okay.
and some of my positions have changed or varied a little bit, but yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that's my point too, is that, so Ray at one point was not a Christian, and he claims later on he was. You were a Christian and then later claimed that you were not. So I don't understand why those two experiences can't both be, interchangeable and true for both people. And that's where my question kind of comes from, is that
Because truth isn't personal. You don't have your truth and then other things. The claims are either true or they're not. And so Mormons, Methodists, and Muslims can all claim personal experience of a God. All of those things would be in conflict with one another. They cannot all be true, but they can all be false. And so my personal experiences that I would have used to cite why I was a Christian, I found out that those are flawed. And my atheism is not the result of personal experience. So they're not even the same claim. Ray claiming to be a Christian because of personal experience is, I don't claim to be an atheist because of personal experience. I'm an atheist because Christianity has not met its burden of proof, and theism has not met its burden of proof. That's it.
Okay, all right. Maybe, and I don't mean to be semantic, but this is, I hope you roll with me a little, because I love this stuff, this philosophy stuff. So the experience, so you're saying that you're atheist because Christianity has not met the burden of proof. That I agree. Okay, I can see a point there. But the way I see it is like, okay, the experience then would be like a trial in which evidence for Christianity was brought forth. Does that make sense? And then like,
no, it doesn't make sense, because if we convict someone of murder because we presented evidence, it would be a mistake to claim that trial was just personal experience, that the reason for convicting someone of murder was personal experience, if in fact we pointed to physical data. Yes, someone will experience the trial, but it's not that experience of the trial that is the reason behind a murder conviction.
But without the trial, there'd be no conviction. In other words,
But that's not relevant to whether or not the conviction is the result of personal experience. It's not. The conviction is the result of evaluating the factual evidence presented.
And furthermore, you could have the experience of the trial. The person could be guilty and not convicted.
Yeah.
Right? The outcome isn't always necessarily going to be something that supports the underlying truth claim. It all depends on the quality of the evidence that's presented, what the outcome is, and how you deliberate.
If you're going to try to equate two things, they need to be comparable and directly analogous. And so if you want to say, oh, I believe because of personal experience, but my personal experience is a reasoned consideration of the available evidence and finding that it's unconvincing, now you've redefined a personal experience such that anything that happens is in fact a personal experience. And so there is no more any data. There is no more any reasonable discourse, because if I say, here's the case for why the sky is blue, and I go through and I described optics and refraction and all of these things, at no point am I pointing to personal experience. But when you say, but you've seen light and you thought those thoughts, and those are personal experiences, and therefore you were convinced by personal experience, you are just factually wrong. You are confusing the map for the place.
Okay, I roll with your analogy, and I'm going to just sort of respond and just maybe just offer up this as a thought. I saw this on a bumper sticker once. It stuck with me. It says,
"Oh, it's probably great.
Spirituality is for those of us who have been there." Again, spirituality is for those of us who have been there, and I think I sort of identify with that because it's like I've had personal experiences, and I understand that you said that you also have, when you were a believer, sort of felt things or whatever,
Yep.
but that later on. Okay, so yes, okay, so gosh, I mean, I understand that you're just like I respect you for this, Matt and Shannon, that you guys are just ferocious pursuers of truth.
As we get ready to queue up the next caller, I wanted to point out that, a bumper sticker like spirituality is for those of us who've been there. That sort of mentality of the you had to be there is basically an admission that I can't demonstrate the truth of this to anybody else. You must have been there, which means it's purely from experience. Spirituality is a word that means so many different things to so many different people that I find the term actually useless. And if the caller, hadn't been a dipshit, we could maybe have had a conversation about what he means by spirituality.
That was the best conversation so far, too. That's
I know it was cool. We got, and stuff, but I get it. Some people
My
aren't
heart.
real, and some people aren't serious and honest in interlocutors. But it's worth it because he referenced a bumper sticker and a bumper sticker thought that I think is important, because when you're preaching to the choir, when you're talking to the congregation, you can talk in language that sounds significant and sounds like you're talking about truth and sounds like you're being profound, but are actually, in my view, deepities. Deepity is a term coined by Dan Dennett's daughter, actually, I think, where to the extent that the claim is true, it is trivial. And to the extent that it is profound, it is in fact false. And so to say spirituality is for those of us who've been there, is to say, hey, I've experienced something. I can't possibly show it to you, but you just have to trust that my interpretation of that experience is correct. And that's just not the way that evidence and reason works.